Welcome back here today on the beautiful campus of Florida Panhandle Technical College. Another in our series of explaining exactly what we do right here on the campus. Here today with Meghan and Rosie, both students currently in the cosmetology program. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the over 40 degree and certification programs offered right here at Florida Panhandle Technical College. In this case, the cosmetology program, the opportunity in a year or less, sometimes a little bit more, for students to come in here, retool their lives. If you've been downsized, if you're an older adult, maybe you've lost your job, a nice way of saying that it's time to move on. We have opportunities here from cosmetology and welding to pharmacy tech and drafting to the new drone programs and hemodialysis, cybersecurity, cutting edge. So whether you're interested in some of the older arts like welding So whether you're interested in some of the older arts like welding and culinary, or the cutting edge drone and cybersecurity programs, there's something for everyone, literally a career in a year, right here at Florida Panhandle Technical College. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Meghan and Rosie about just that, and we will be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, our guests today are Meghan and Rosie, currently enrolled in the cosmetology program. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for asking us.
I kind of caught you by surprise. We're doing several interviews today with some of the programs. As I explained to you, this is an opportunity for the outside world to learn a little bit more about Florida Panhandle Technical College. In this case, specifically about cosmetology. Rosie, how long have you been in that cosmetology program?
I've been in the program since August, the 11th of August, and I'm really enjoying it so far.
Now, how long in hours is that cosmetology program?
1,200, I believe.
Okay, so if you continue the way you're going, when would you be done?
By August of next year.
Okay, so right at 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought a little bit about what you're going to do going forward? What are your aspirations?
After this, I want to go to a cosmetology salon first and start off by making money, and then as the years go by, I want to have my own salon.
Certainly something that everybody thinks about. You know, having your own business is kind of like having a boat. They say that the best and the worst day of your life are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. There's a lot of work and there's a lot of time management that goes into running your own business, and certainly that's the ultimate and everybody's goal. So good luck with that. Meghan, you and I have spoken in the past. You've actually participated in some of our other programming. Thanks for being here today.
No, thank you. It's nice to be back.
When did you actually start the cosmetology program?
I started August 11th as well.
Oh, okay. So you're looking at August of 2017 as well as your finish date. I know that you live here relatively close by, locally. What are your thoughts going forward? What are your plans when you get out of school?
Plan for when I get out of school is my boyfriend and I both are actually taking the class, and we wanted to have our cosmetology license, but our main goal is to open a barber shop.
Wow.
Locally. And so once we get out of here, we're going to, work at a salon for a while, save up a bit, and then go to Tallahassee for a few months to take barber's class. Once we have that, hopefully open a shop somewhere between here and the Dothan area.
Wow. Long-time barber here locally, Francis Hayes. Matter of fact, he just passed not too long ago. For many years, he had a barbershop in downtown Chipley, one of the old barbershops, had the striped pole, and every time you went by, there were 2 or 3 older gentlemen waiting to have their hair cut. Barbershops, salons, one on one end of the spectrum, one on the other end. Definitely a lot of differences. Some older guys still don't like going into a salon. They want to go to a barbershop and get a razor cut. They want a straight razor shave. There are still some doing that. It's interesting that you say that barber part of it, because I would imagine that could be a niche market. It could be definitely a growth industry for those people that want to go and have that barber experience. Is that what you found?
That's what we're hoping, is it's going to be lucrative in that it's going to, attract the people who want to go to a traditional barber shop. Not everyone wants to go to a men's salon or, a woman's salon and just, have a men's cut. Some men, they want to go to a barber shop. And so we want to do the traditional with the striped, the thing outside, and, with the brushes and the straight razors and stuff like that. So we're hoping to appeal to that group of people.
If you're an older guy particularly, and if you're not used to that salon environment, you get all the chitter chatter, you got the gossip, and I know a lot of guys that don't like going into that. I kind of get a kick out of it, and I get my hair cut in a salon in downtown Chipley, and so there's a lot of that. Rosie, I know that over the years, salons have become known for that clearinghouse for information. If you want to know how you're doing, you can go to a salon and they'll tell you exactly how you're doing.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about that whole culture around that salon? Is that something that attracted you to the business to start with?
Yes, it did, because I like working with people, meeting new people every day. So every day somebody new walks in, you get to meet new people, you get to talk about them one-on-one, see what their life is like, and they like that experience. They like talking to you, being able to explain to people what's going on in their life, something that they might not get at home.
And that's interesting. They say that hairstylist ends up being a psychiatrist and a psychologist. It's kind of like a bartender, you know. People pour out their hearts and souls to them. How did you find out about Florida Panhandle Technical College and specifically the cosmetology program?
Well, I always wanted to do cosmetology, and since I came here to school, Chipley High School and middle school here, I always wanted to go, like back in maybe when I was in 9th grade. They offered going from high school to here Panhandle Technical College, and you could take any program you wanted to. And back when I was in 9th grade, they did cosmetology, but I wasn't allowed to come until I was like in 11th grade. But once I got to 11th grade, they stopped offering it. So I said, okay, if they aren't going to offer it then, I'll just wait till I graduate. And then I decided to come here or either Chipola College. But then I thought about it, and I thought that Panhandle Technical College would be best for me because I'm closer. And I heard that Chipola College waited to let people be on the floor, and here you get that hands-on experience, not just book work.
Yeah, you know, Kim Miller, your instructor, brings a lot to the table. He's an older guy. He was in the industry many years himself. Meghan, you've been there long enough now to know Mr. Miller at least a little bit, and certainly as an instructor, you guys get to work with him one-on-one all the time. What do you think about him as an instructor, and what does he bring to the table to make you comfortable and to instruct you in such a way that you go into it and build confidence?
One thing I have to say is a huge deal with him is he's very easygoing, to where he doesn't make you feel, you know, pressured, or, you know, I've never seen him mad. You know, he basically just tells you what to do. He expects you to do it, and then if you don't, though, he'll explain to you, well, this is why I told you to do it this way, you know, because this happens. And so, you know, he's very good at explaining, and he definitely knows his craft. You know, I've seen him cut hair. He cuts great hair. He always knows what he's talking about, and he always is right when it comes to, to that stuff. And so, I love him as an instructor and respect him greatly as a hairstylist.
Kim had his own salon in Dothan, or worked with someone else, I guess, made a lot of money. He is a very typical story for the technical college. Eddie Beckworth, our welding instructor, Tanya Taylor next door in drafting, Kim Miller in cosmetology, all made big money in the private sector. All had that opportunity, could still be out there making a lot more than what they're making as an instructor, but they chose to be that teacher, that instructor, allowing who knows how many hundreds and thousands of students to go out there and do exactly that themselves. There's a lot to be said for that. You've got to really respect somebody. What are your thoughts about Mr. Miller?
I like that. I like that about Mr. Miller. And anytime we need help with anything, he always helps us. Like, he doesn't leave us hanging. If we need help with a haircut, he'll show us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and he'll correct us. So I like that about him.
Yeah, Meghan, you mentioned you've never seen him mad. I mean, you could argue, I mean, what's there to be mad about? You know, I mean, but it's easy to get frustrated. And having 30-some students, do you know how many people are in the class right now?
I believe we counted so far 20.
Yes,
we were
about
torn.
20.
It was 18 to 20 a couple weeks ago, but a couple of people haven't really shown up much. So, you know, roughly 18 to 20.
You get that many people in a room, let alone women, and there's opportunity for drama. And I'm not beating on women because I love women, but there is opportunity for drama. There's opportunity for all kinds of life stuff going on. Going into it, your expectations versus now, having been in the program for several months, what are your thoughts going in, and what did you find was different than what you expected, and what things maybe ended up being the same?
I honestly expected much more drama than there is. I was ready for it because I figured, you know, I know how a school environment is, period. Plus you're mixing that with a salon environment. And so both can bring a lot of drama to the table. So I was honestly expecting a lot more drama than there is. There actually isn't very much. We all get along great there. there's, it's really laid back. It's a fun place to be in. There's not a lot going on, he says, she said, and all that. Of course that can kick up sometimes, like it can anywhere. It can at a job. And so, it's definitely more laid back than I expected. And I really like that because I'm not one for drama.
I couldn't agree more. But don't you think that leading by example, and Mr. Miller being drama-free himself, he sets that example. And so it's much easier for that environment as a whole. Rosie, do you feel about that same way? Did you expect?
I feel like he sets that mood. He makes it relaxful, peaceful, and he tells us that he doesn't want any drama between us. And I think that's what makes it peacefully in there, in that class.
Yeah, if you have zero tolerance for anything, whatever it happens to be, then obviously, like, as you say, Meghan, you're going to have instances, but for the most part, you're going to enjoy that kind of more peaceful environment. The cool thing about your program is that you pointed out another facility, I think you said Chipola, operated a little differently. In your case, very quickly after being in that program, you're on a salon floor. Yeah. You are cutting hair, you're dealing with real-world problems. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Meghan, but not only do you get the experience of working on somebody in that real world and not just other students, but you also get to learn more about people and how to deal with their moods. You may cut that same woman's hair every week or every 2 weeks, and she might be a different person every time she comes in because what's going on in her life. Is it fair to say that maybe you learn to read people and that you learn to deal with people as much as you do with hair?
Yeah, you do. You definitely learn to. I mean, anything like that, you're going to get people skills. It's going to get better and better. And, I got a bit of that, at my previous job, and now here has just, helped further that. And so it helps you learn how to handle people and, how to gauge their moods and what they want to hear, what they don't want to hear. And I've definitely learned, what questions to ask. On the hair side of it, I've learned, that you want to get the person's personality, because there's a typical way you do things. The ways we're taught to do. And when you're dealing with actual people, not a mannequin, it's a little bit different. They don't want it done that way. And so I've learned from having a few, say, I don't like it done that way. I've learned to ask, this is the way I normally do it. Do you want it done this way?
Yeah, and I briefly alluded to the fact that you do each other's hair. I don't know that I've seen as many colors on the same heads in the same month. I guess when you guys get bored or when there's nothing else to do or when it's time to practice, somebody says, hey, yeah, I want pink this month, or I want it to be cut short, or I want... So, Rosie, do you find that you learn a lot about people and about hair in that interaction between students as well?
Yes, I do, because every student always, for example, the student Allison, she'll go in and she'll be like, she'll have blue hair one day, then the next day she'll want pink. And so we get to experiment with her, and then we get to experiment with the different colors and how to do it. And that way, when we have a customer that wants the same thing done to their hair, we'll be able to do it next time.
You enjoy a really good relationship because of Mr. Miller and because of Florida Panhandle Technical College with some of the product distributors. Whether it's Paul Mitchell or Redken or some of the other products, and I don't know if those specifically are ones you still use, but over the years I know that Mr. Miller has forged some great relationships with those so that they come in and do seminars. They expose you to the newest products, and they make those products available to you at very, very reasonably affordable prices so that you get a chance to really work with the good stuff and not wait until you're in that. Have you experienced that already, Meghan?
Oh yes, we've had many classes from people such as Alpha Parf was here last week, I believe. They did a seminar on color, and so that's shown us we have access to their color products and some new things that's coming out that's a lot of fun to use. Icon Shears, he came by and showed us how to take care of our shears better, and I was able to buy a nice pair of them for a good price, much better than you can find online. So it is nice having those people come in and sell us the stuff for a better deal because we're in school, so we can use it, and we're able to kind of get a feel for the products and brands we like to use before we get out in a real salon world, because you want to be set in something before you get out there dealing with actual customers who are paying a lot of money for what they're having done.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Rosie, you said you went to Chipley High School and were interested in the dual enrollment, and obviously it didn't work out for you. It hasn't been long, just a little bit over a year, that Washington Holmes Technical Center has become Florida Panhandle Technical College. Do you feel that there was a attitude shift on the part of the juniors and seniors, for instance, at Chipley High School, when that name change took place, that they looked at the school a little bit differently, and because they could say they were going to college instead of to the VOTEC or to the technical center, that made a difference?
Yes, I feel like it did, because I noticed that more juniors and more seniors were wanting to do that dual enrollment, and coming over, they were doing welding, electrician, all kinds of stuff over here. I feel like it did. They had a more positive view on it.
I know that you were homeschooled, Megan, but had you given any thought to that, or did you see any difference, or maybe did you look at it any differently when it became from a technical center to a college?
I did, because it's nice to say that you're going to a technical college instead of technical center. You know, people take it more serious. It's nicer to say you're going to a college instead of a trade school, which it still, sort of is that, but it has more of a label on it now, I feel. And that, people respect that more.
Yeah.
One of the best parts of the technical college is that there are several avenues that are made available for financial assistance. Pell Grants, there's Perkins that participates. Even the foundation here, the Florida Panhandle Technical College Foundation, makes available certain monies. So if you don't qualify, if you fall through the cracks, for instance, and just you don't qualify for some of those grants, that they will make I think they'll make non-refundable grants, so that they're actually gifts. Rosie, are you taking advantage of any financial assistance?
Yes, I'm doing Pell Grant right now, and then including that, my cousin, she has one of those scholarships from here, from Panhandle Technical College, and I can say that it's helped her a lot. She's able to take her class that she's taking right now.
Yeah, give us an idea of what the process was for that financial assistance, how you went about applying, and how long it took, and if it was real bulky, or if maybe it was a little bit easier than you anticipated.
It was easier than I anticipated, and I did that. Well, I had help from the high school, because I was still in high school when I did it, because I wanted to do it before I was done graduating. And I did it by myself, and it was easy for me. I liked it.
And Megan, are you taking advantage of any of that financial assistance?
No, I'm actually self-pay.
Okay.
So I haven't gotten to deal in any of that.
Yeah, and that's a good place to be if you're able to do that. But at the end of the day, nobody can get turned down from coming to school here. What's really interesting to me is that we have the Learning Resource Center, or adult education, and when somebody comes here maybe that didn't finish high school, or that their tape scores are just not as high as they need to be, you can actually take those remedial classes at the adult education portion, or the Learning Resource, LRC. You were going to start to say something.
Yeah, and then whenever they do get those scores, they can take the program that they offer here that they want to do. Like one of my mom's friends, that's what she's doing right now. And
So
that's what I like about this college.
She's attending LRC now?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, and so it's kind of a one-stop shop. You can come here, you can get your GED if you haven't gotten that yet. You can get, you can bring up your tape scores, and then you can qualify to take those programs. Going forward, where do you see yourself 5 years, 10 years? I know that you want to start a barber shop, and you're not quite sure exactly geographically where you're going to end up. But because of what you're able to take advantage of here, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
5 years, hopefully starting a business. That's the goal, is about a 5-year plan there. 10 years, hopefully a very successful business.
Rosie, same question.
Yes, in 5 years, hopefully I'll have enough money to open up my own salon, and then in 10 years I'll be running that salon.
What a lot of people don't realize is that your program is open to the public, and that people can come in and they can make an appointment. Sometimes you've got the availability of just walking in and getting a haircut or a color or a perm or whatever it is that you're teaching. So that's a great opportunity. I know that you had just finished doing somebody's hair when we came over to talk to you about doing this interview. How often do you get to work on somebody from the public that comes in for work?
The salon is usually pretty full every day. Fridays definitely are the busiest, and usually, we can have anywhere from 1 to maybe 4 or 5 clients a day, us individually. And so, I pretty much get experience working with people out in the public at least daily.
So, Rosie, fair to say that by the time you get done, probably with some exception, but you'll be able to say that you've experienced pretty much everything that they can throw
yes,
at
sir.
you.
Yes, sir, because I've already experienced perms, hair color, highlights, hair cutting for men, shampoos. Even if it's just a shampoo and style, you get to experiment a little bit of everything.
Have you been able to experience somebody being a little bit less than satisfied?
Yes, sir, I have. And then, but whenever they're less than satisfied, I make sure that they're satisfied before they walk out. So I go and get Mr. Miller if I need help with anything, and I ask her what I can do different to make her be satisfied before she walks out.
Again, some of that real-world experience that you can't teach out of a book. You have to experience that and be able to deal. Rosie, if you ran into somebody that you hadn't seen in a long time and they were kind of in a situation where they just didn't know what they wanted to do, said, Rosie, what are you doing? What would you do to encourage them to at least look at the offerings here at the Technical College?
I will tell them that I'm doing cosmetology and that they should try to do it if they're interested in cosmetology. That within a week you'll be cutting hair, doing roller sets, and you'll have experience with hands-on on different people, not just the mannequins, which is like Chipola College. I'm thinking that they don't get to cut within a week, is what I heard. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I like about here, this college, because you get to do it within a week. You learn different stuff when you start, and then you get to go on the floor, which is something that I also heard at Chipola they don't offer that.
And same question for you, Meghan. If you ran into somebody you hadn't seen in a while, what would you say about what you're doing, and if you felt they had there was an opportunity for them, how would you encourage them to come take a look at the over 40 degree and certification programs here?
Definitely, basically the same thing she just said. The hands-on experience is everything, because I mean, most of the colleges, even like Wallace, they keep you in there on book work for at least 3 months. And then so a good portion of your time is spent doing book work. You don't have a whole lot of experience with clients. You learn the client part when you get out into, a salon. And I feel like it's very important to go ahead and have those people skills you were talking about, before you get out there, because it can be very intimidating. And when it's in a school situation, a lot of times the clients are more understanding. They know you're nervous. Sometimes we do have our rough patches with them, but for the most part, they're very understanding, and they know that you're not going to get it perfect. The hair's probably going to come out a little bit different, each time, just because that's how it goes. We're learning, and they're much more accepting of it than you would find in a, salon once you got out. So the hands-on experience is definitely a huge thing.
Is that something that the school lets you know about when you're looking into the program, that you will have that hands-on experience right away, so that even before you started the program, that was one of the reasons that you came here, or is that something you found out after you started the program, Meghan?
That's something I found out after I started the program, actually. I thought they were all that way, book work for 3 months and then a little bit of hands-on. I didn't know that till I got here, and then he, was like, "Okay, y'all want a crash course and a quick, just learn how to do a quick cut this weekend?" So it's like, "Yeah, sure." And like she said, we were out cutting clients, within a week or two, and definitely doing other things, roller sets and whatnot.
Not that you tried to promote the program by telling you that you're here to have fun, but you got to have fun, or you're not going to learn as well. Rosie, did you find that was a big part of keeping you engaged in the program, and the fact that you got that hands-on pretty quickly?
Yes, sir, I feel like it was. And I wasn't really expecting to get hands-on before I started, but whenever I came in and turned my paperwork, one of the persons up front was like, "He'll have you cutting hair within a week." And I was like, is she being for real, or is she just kind of saying that to say it? But then within a week, I noticed that it was for real. Like, it was like maybe within the second day, probably, we were already cutting hair. He was showing us some techniques for hair cutting.
Is there anything else that you would add, Rosie, to anything that we've already talked about?
Maybe about whenever how to get somebody to come here if they're in a rough situation. I would also encourage them to come here because of the financial aid that's available for them.
Meghan, any final thoughts from you?
I would say it is definitely just a great school, and you get a lot of experience with people. Great teacher, Miss Marie also, she's great. Just a nice laid back place to be, a nice place to learn. I would not leave and change schools for anything. I love it here.
Well, thank you both for being with us this morning. It's important that we let the world know what we offer here, and if we don't do shows like this and let you say in your own words, I can say it all day long, but I've never been through the program. What I find very interesting, and I learn something with every show, is that every time I learn something a little bit new, a little bit different, even about the programs that we've been talking about for years. So again, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Been here today with Meghan and Rosie, currently enrolled in the Cosmetology program here at Florida Panhandle Technical College. Just one of the 40 degree and certification programs available. If you'd like to learn more, you can go online to fptc.edu. You can also stop by our student services right here on Hoyt Street in downtown Chipley. You can stop by, as one of our previous guests earlier today, as a matter of fact, mentioned. You can come in and you can actually get a tour of the school, get an opportunity to maybe pick out a half dozen programs in which you may have some interest and find out a little bit more, get to speak to those instructors, get to speak to some of those students. What better way to find out and to refine what it is you're looking for than to just simply come and have a look? You can also go to our Facebook page, Florida Panhandle Technical College on Facebook. You can see photos, video clips, interviews such as this one. Just an opportunity to get what we offer as a career in a year. What we like to say, one life, 1 year, one great career right here at Florida Panhandle Technical College. We'll be right back.